I bow to all the seekers of truth. When you seek truth, how dynamic one can become, you can see the way these artists are. How the blessings of the truth helps you in your self-confidence and in the expression of your art. And also, you must have seen how the people from the West who have had no training in Indian music, which is very difficult, how they have taken easily to it. In the same way, the Indians have taken to Western music very easily. The reason is, we have to understand what we are. And that's the truth one has to know. The truth is that you are the spirit. You are not this body, this mind, this ego, emotions, but you are the spirit. Until you become the spirit, you cannot feel the all-pervading power, which is very subtle. And this is another truth one has to realize, that this power exists and it does all the living works. It organizes, it thinks. Above all, it loves you. But when I say this, you have to have an open mind of a scientist. If what I am saying, like a hypothesis, turns out to be true, then you have to accept it in all your honesty. The most important thing today is to ask a question to ourselves: why are we here? What is the purpose of our coming? If we ask such a question, then only a new search towards truth will start. And these two things that I have told you, that you are the spirit and that you have to be in connection with this all-pervading power, will have to work it out for you, because then you become the seekers of truth, is your right. So Sahaja means, Saha means born, with you. With, Saha is with, Ja is born. So born with you is the right to be united, that is yoga, with this divine power. This is the real meaning of yoga, is that you are to be united with that divine power. The manifestation of this, when it happens, you become a beautiful personality that you are. You become that glory that you are. And you rise into a new state that we call as of collective consciousness. This is the process of your evolution. And this is the last breakthrough of our evolution, where from human awareness you have to become a realized soul, a person who is born again. Like the birds are also called as Dvijaha in Sanskrit language, meaning those who are born again. Meaning first they come as eggs and then they are born as birds. In the same way, it has to happen to you. And once these things happen, so many manifestations come true and we get the beautiful blessings of this all-pervading power. The first thing that happens to you is that physically you feel fit. You feel fit with your own powers. No medicines are needed, No maneuvering is needed, nothing is needed. You just, from your own power, which is lying in the triangular bone here. Have you talked to them something about it? No, it's not just. All right. In the triangular bone, this power lies, which is called as Kundalini. I think it is too far away for them to see. Can it be brought? Can we bring it forward? They can't see it, so what's the use? Now all of you can see it.
This side.
Would be better. All right, this side. Can you see now? Just this way a little bit. These are all Sahaja Yogis, aren't they? So it's all right, for you need not see. You just put it just little at an angle, please. Yes, now it's better. All right. So, this subtle system exists within us. And we have to understand this subtle system. Like all our civilization has grown outward like a tree, and whatever we have knowledge through science or any other method is the knowledge of the tree. We have no knowledge of our roots. And that's why we are always under a threat of a shock that God knows what's going to happen to us. If we know our roots, then we know how to nourish this tree very well. Now here you see in the triangular bone is this power, what we call as Kundalini in the Sanskrit word, but Kundal means coils. Coiled up into 3.5 coils. And this power is the residual power within us, which is waiting for that moment when it can be awakened. And like you are now connected by this cord to the mains, this power rises and connects you to the mains. By that you become a subtler personality. You become that collective conscious personality. You go beyond thoughts. And as I told you, physically, mentally and emotionally, you become absolutely a perfect personality. Apart from that, you achieve your peace of mind. All your tensions disappear. And that you become a witness. Like a witness, you see the play of the divine, and the complete knowledge of the divine and the subtle knowledge becomes your own, which is an absolute knowledge. Everybody who is in Sahaja Yoga knows the same thing. There's no argument, there's no fight, there's no discussion. Because once you get this realization, when this Kundalini rises and passes through 6 subtle centers above, then you start feeling on your fingertips the cool breeze of the Holy Ghost, as they call it, or we can say the all-pervading power. Also, you can feel the cool breeze out of your fontanelle bone area when this Kundalini pierces through, and that is the actualization of baptism. It's not artificial that somebody puts the finger on your thing and say, now you are baptized. Baptism is a living process, and it's a living process of evolution that gives you this new dimension to your awareness. Now, the rising of the Kundalini is spontaneous because it's a living process. Like if you have a seed, it sprouts. If you put it in the Mother Earth, spontaneously. We don't have to stand on our heads or to read some sort of a book or a scripture. It just happens. In the same way, spontaneously, this power rises and connects you to the mains. As a result, as I told you, become dynamic. You become extremely creative. Feel very young. You work very hard. You don't feel tired. And so many diseases automatically get cured by your own power, by yourself. Nobody has to cure it. You just get absolutely cured out of it. For example, we have so many problems in the modern times of very different nature, that people are overactive, and overactivity takes them away from reality, and they become sort of slaves of overactivity. This is done by the second center, which is, you see, the yellow, the bile. This center is, for example, I will tell you about one center at least today, that this center is called as Swadhisthana center, and which looks after, on the physical side, and caters for aortic plexus. And this center has got a very important work to be done, is to convert the fat for the replacement of the grey cells of our brain. This is a very important work for people who are futuristic, who are planning all the time, who are thinking too much. As a result, all other functions of these centers are neglected. And these other functions are that it has to cater to your liver. Now, liver has a job. It has to transform the heat or the poison from your body as heat into the bloodstream so that it is thrown out. But when this center is busy doing something else so important, this work is left undone or sometimes very much neglected. As a result, one develops a bad system of liver. This liver creates heat, does not throw out the heat from the body, which passes along and you get so many complications with it, like asthma and others. Today we had a patient who came and she had the same problem, and she said, they have told me I have some viruses, this, that, all kinds of diagnoses, she told me. I said, nothing, you just have liver. And you just try to improve your liver, you'll be all right. Within 10 minutes, she said, I'm feeling all right. I said, that's it. You have a liver problem. So this virus is there, that virus is there, all kinds of roundabout ways of saying, to show that it's absolutely incurable. Now, then you go from there to another very important work, is that of the pancreas, which looks after or caters of dissolving your sugar. But when you have this pancreas in a mess, because this center is not looking after it, then you develop a horrible disease called diabetes. And this diabetes only happens to people who sit down and think too much, who plan too much, mostly to bureaucrats and maybe to politicians, I don't know. But say in India, farmers ask for sugar, and if you give them tea, the sugar should be so much that the spoon should stand at right angles, you see. Otherwise, they'll think this is not tea, this is horrible. And despite all that, they never get diabetes. But any bureaucrat who is too much of a planner, or a politician or someone like that, who thinks too much, gets it even with one spoon, maybe with the half spoon he gets diabetes. So this is due to the fact that this poor center has to do some work for all these people who are extra active with their brains, and other organs like pancreas are neglected. The third one is even more important, more dangerous, is the spleen. The spleen is the one which is, we can say, is the one which keeps the rhythm of life. As you have seen the rhythmic work, it keeps the rhythm of life. Now this rhythmic work, if we do not allow it to work with proper rhythm and we have become hectic, then this center has a job to create red blood corpuscles for the use of any emergencies. Supposing you have taken your food and suddenly you want to run, then you get a pain and you don't know why you are getting the pain, because that time your spleen goes into action in a very frantic way and produces more RBCs, red blood corpuscles, and with that it has to work hard, you get that pain. Now, when you lead such a hectic life, all the time under shocks, like early in the morning we read the newspapers, one shock is sufficient. Then, secondly, you have to have your breakfast, you can't have time, you're in a busy, you are running away to work, and on the way you find there's a jam, then you go, your boss also shouting at you for getting late, all kinds of time-bound things, you see. All this plays upon your spleen. And poor spleen doesn't understand what sort of a personality is. This one is so hectic. God knows it requires red blood corpuscles now and then, and like that. It's so hectic. There's no rhythm about it. So it gets, you should say, crazy. Then it becomes vulnerable, absolutely vulnerable for a disease called blood cancer. Then at the same time, if on the left side there's some triggering due to some shock or some sort of pain or unhappiness or something like that, this disease sets in. Now people who have come to Sahaja Yoga were certified to be dead within 8 days also by doctors who were suffered from this trouble, got themselves cured of blood cancer. Cancer is also cured with it, no doubt, but it's cured automatically by your own powers. Nobody has to cure you. You just get cured by your own powers. Once you get your realization and you know how to handle your own powers, how to treat yourself, first you can find out what's wrong with your centers. Diagnosis is there, and you can find out also how to get it cured. You can cure yourself, and you can help others to get their realization. This is the power you get. It's not just a certificate, a false certificate, that I am a self-realized person, I am a twice-born person. It has to be a certificate from yourself that you have to feel the cool breeze. You have to feel that all-pervading power. You have to feel your peace and your silence within yourself. So first of all, when the Kundalini rises, she passes through this center, which we call as Agya, which is placed in the in the optic chiasma. When this passes through that, it sucks in from both the sides these two institutions which are created by our left and right sympathetic nervous system. Whenever there is emergency, the sympathetic goes into action. So here we have an autonomous nervous system. Autonomous nervous system is named by doctors. We have to ask them, what do you mean by auto? Who is this auto? Who does this job? So we have left and right side of autonomous nervous system, nourished by these two channels, left and right. And when this autonomous nervous system starts working, either on the desire side, or we can say emotional side on the left hand side, it creates an institution here which we call as superego, or in Sanskrit called as mana, where all our conditionings are stored up. And on the other side, if the right side is too much excited, if a person is too much futuristic and is using too much his mental and physical capacities, then there is another institution that is created on top of your head, which we call as ego. These two meet and sometimes overlap, and so we close our fontanelle bone area, which was the soft bone in your childhood. So when this Kundalini passes through this center, which we call as Agya Chakra, it sucks in these two institutions, so your karmas are sucked in and your conditionings are sucked in, and it comes down like this, it opens this area, Kundalini pierces through this. Now this is a spontaneous thing happening. It is not that you have to do something about it. As the car starts, all the machinery starts working, this also starts working. But in, say, these days modern Raj Yoga is there, Hatha Yoga is there, everybody asks me question after the lecture, so it's better I tell you about it already, that the so-called Raj Yoga is something like when the car has not yet started, the machinery won't start. So without starting the car, you start moving the wheels, is the modern Raj Yoga. They even cut the tongues of, not the tongues, but the threads of the tongues of people to push back the tongue so that it can stop the Kundalini. But when the Kundalini is rising by itself, it stops. It stops every area it crosses through. Supposing it comes to this area, then when it passes through it, it has to go into an augmentation, into constriction to stop that Kundalini falling down. So it's done automatically. As we eat our food, it gets digested. In the same way, it happens. But artificially, it is not to be done. And all this artificial doing is of no help. Same about Hatha Yoga. Is Hatha is two words there, meaning the sun line and the moon line, meaning the left and the right side channel, both are to be used. But when we do Hatha Yoga in the modern times, we are just trying to do only physical exercises, which is a very wee part of the Patanjali Yoga, out of which Hatha Yoga has come. In the Patanjali Yoga, it's described that you have to see a person who has got problems on his physical side. Supposing now somebody has had an accident or something and the backbone is not all right and there's a problem on that, so you have to correct it. But this correction is the best once the Kundalini is up, so you know where is the problem, and then is to be corrected scientifically. Not to be done in a haphazard manner. And sometimes the people do Hatha Yoga in the way that as if they are taking all the medicine boxes together without any discrimination. So you should have discrimination about it, and you should find out what's wrong, and then do exactly whatever is needed to be done, not to do everything blindly. So the first thing, the blessings of Sahaja Yoga is that you get to know all the knowledge. It's not just you say this mantra, you do this thing, you do nothing of the kind. You first become the spirit, and you know everything about it, what it is. You experience it, you find out for yourself, you certify yourself, and then you have to work it out. So it's a very practical, pragmatic thing. Of course, you can't pay for all these things. Those who are paying for this must know it's a wrong thing, because it's a living process. For a living process, how can you pay? It's something absurd. But people don't understand that you cannot pay for it because they don't feel confident if you don't have to pay for something. The other day I was in Cairns, and there's a Sahaja Yogini, and she said, Mother, they wouldn't come to a program for which you don't have to pay. So then what did you do? She said, I told them I'll take $50 from them. They all came with $50, quite happy and satisfied. So she took $50 from them, gave them realization, worked it out, and then she returned the money saying, I don't need this money, sorry. But this kind of a psychology I can't understand, that we are so much used to payment in everything that we cannot understand one thing, that divine doesn't know what his payment is. How much do we pay to this Mother Earth for sprouting everything, for giving us beautiful trees and things? How much did we do for her that we have to pay for it? But this is something we don't understand in the West. In India they do, because they know that divine has no sense of money. It doesn't know banking, doesn't know insurance, nothing of the kind. And this is what we have to understand first of all, that if we have to become a divine personality, we must respect it as a pure thing. It doesn't need any money, it doesn't need anything, it just needs one thing, which is the pure desire within it. Because this is the power of pure desire. The desire that I have to become one with the divine. All other desires are impure, because no desire, when fulfilled, gives you satisfaction. You jump from one desire to another desire. That's why it is said in economics that in general, the desires and wants are not satiable. But this is the desire that we have. And once this desire is fulfilled, we become absolutely contented, satisfied, and a complete balance is established within ourselves. All these ecological problems settle down because the imbalance in the human beings itself creates the imbalance outside. Whatever are human problems are projected outside. These are not problems which have come from nature but are created by us. Because of our problems, these problems arise. So somehow if we can manage to put ourselves in proper line, everything will be fine. And we live in a new era of what we call the golden age, and we enter into the kingdom of God. Because then you realize your self-experience that every moment is so surprising. How it works out, how things just help you, and how you manage to get over difficulties without any trouble. It's something so wonderful, so fantastic, and sometimes people will be skeptical about it. They'll think, how can that be? But supposing there's a television set, I take it to the ignorant people in our Indian villages and show them and say that you can see all kinds of films in this one. They'll say, what, this box? How can it show? So we treat ourselves as that box. But actually when you put it to the mains, you know how fantastic it is. So we are not created just for nothing. We are created for a special work. Only thing is, we have to know ourselves. And all the scriptures and religions have said, know thyself. But all of them have gone astray. Absolutely astray. They have become all man-made sort of things. And that's why people are in complete disillusionment about them. But whosoever created them, all those great prophets, incarnations, are absolutely truthful people, and they told the truth. All the saints were truthful people. And we have to learn from them, and we ourselves have to become saints. We don't have to give up our families, don't have to do all these nonsensical things which are outside. The detachment works out within yourself. Everything works out within yourself, and I'm sure today in Brisbane we'll be achieving it for all of you. Because modern Sahaja Yoga is an mass happening. Formerly only one or two people used to get realization on the tree of life. There were only one or two flowers. But today I call it a blossom time. And also this is the day of judgment, where we judge ourselves. In the Quran it is said that your hands will speak and you will judge yourself. But even the Muslims are not following what he said. Even the Christians are not following what Christ has said. Even the Hindus are not following what their scriptures have said. They are all having a nice, money-oriented or power-oriented organizations. That's not going to help us. We have to have the reality, the truth. It is for our benevolence, for the benevolence of our children, for the benevolence of the whole world. That's how the whole humanity has to emancipate, and that's what I'm here to tell you about. May God bless you all.